welcome back to another Josh K guitar video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for clicking on the subscribe and like buttons. Today we're delving back into the world of Mick Goodrick's Chord Almanac. Sorry for taking a little break. I wanted to really actually dive into my audio situation here at home because I have more than enough to work with to get good quality audio for you folks that are tuning in and doing me the kindness of actually clicking those buttons. So I figured I'd go the extra mile and see if I can get actually some studio quality audio for you. So let me know in the comments what you think about that. We're gonna otherwise get right back into this material. Here's the book we're talking about. Mick Goodrick, Mr. Goodrick Chord's Almanac of Guitar Voice Leading. I bought this book from Mick personally when I was studying with him in 2004 or so, and it's honestly been one of the most valuable tools in my kit. So since it's not available anymore, I thought I would share with you. Now, I've done videos with blue dots and a fretboard, and I've said in those videos I'm not going to do tab, I'm just showing how I think about the fretboard. I'm actually going to do away with that whole thing too, because I do feel like that does provide a little bit of a prescription to how to play some of this stuff, and I don't want to do that. I want anybody who's exploring this material to go ahead and figure that out for themselves. It's a lot about training your ear. It's a lot about training your fingers to do what your ears hear as opposed to what things are in the box, so to speak. So that said, we're going to get right on it. But again, no tabs because batteries are not included and some assembly is required, you know? All this said, please do pay attention to the sensations in your fretting hand, because we're going to be making stretches, especially in today's video actually. We're going to be making some stretches that might not be the most comfortable, but they'll open up how the neck of the guitar works and how harmony and voice leading work. So that's all really, really important stuff to understand. So let's get right to it. I'm going to ask you to take some screenshots here. Here's the page we're going to cover today. Cycle 3, again, this time melodic minor. And as you can see, our diatonic chords, we're going to be C minor, E flat augmented, G major, B diminished, D minor, F major, A diminished, and then cycling back around to C minor here. These are the diatonic chords in C melodic minor if you're moving up in thirds. And as you see, we actually do hit all 7 of them. Today I'm going to do like we did in the last video, and let's explore spreads. I did 3 videos on tapping where we just did one line and showed where things change on one string. And when we did it on one string, I skipped all my spreads. So in these cycle 3 videos, I'm doing all spreads and I'm doing all 3 lines. But I'm doing them in a very specific way, which is like a voicing finding way. A lot of these groupings of notes actually may be inversions of these that you study and have other chord shapes for. But for today, we're purely in an exploratory mode. So I want to take it from that kind of an attitude. So let's blow this up so you can take some screenshots. Here's the top, close voicings. Again, I'm not going to be doing these today, but I encourage everybody who's studying the material to start with these actually, and then do what we're doing today, maybe later. And then here's the spreads. This is what we're going to be covering in the video. And let's get right on that. So again, we're going to start here. C, G, E flat. So basically a spread voicing is when you take your chord voicing in a C minor chord. If we were just stacking them in order, we would get C, E flat, G. So to spread these out, we're going to take the E flat and actually move it up an octave, and then we're going to move all of our chord voicings starting from that point and going through all of those changes that I actually mentioned before. So For this, since you notice our arrows are moving down, I'm actually going to start up as high as I can. Sorry, my acoustic people with no cutaways, but I'm going to go ahead and do this one for today. C minor. That's fret 15 on the A string, 17 on the D, and 16 on B. I'm skipping the G string, and I'm going to stay on these 3 strings for the entirety of this video. You don't have to do that. You can make these same moves downwards. Right? You'll see that they exist on these other string sets. You can do them here. Right? You can do them on any string set, and they actually move in the same relationship. But again, I didn't want to change strings for this whole video, and I want to explore some different shapes that we might not necessarily find. So if I start moving strings to do that, that actually makes it a little easier. I don't want to cheat, and I don't want you to cheat when you do this stuff. Now, if you do need to play one note at a time, there are going to be some pretty big ones at the end, like this F here. That's a big shape. I'm stretching a lot to get that, and it's not the most comfortable. But again, practicing these kinds of stretches builds your flexibility, and you might not be comfortable doing it today. If you put in a couple of seconds, feel the discomfort, stop, take a break, let your muscles grow, then you can come back tomorrow a little bit stronger. And that doesn't mean that tomorrow you're going to be able to just do it, but if it's slightly less comfortable, you can get there maybe slightly faster, or you can just visualize where things are on your fretboard a little quicker. That's all very, very valuable to learn. So again, if you need to spread some of these apart and not play them together like I'm playing them today, that's okay. Do that. There's no wrong way to practice this stuff. Alright, so starting with C, G, E, 15, 17, 16, right? And again, that's not a prescription. This is just where I'm starting, okay? Now, we'll see that these same letters move the same distance on all 3 lines. The only difference is where they're placed. Here, we're moving the bottom note. It's moving 1 fret down to B. So, and with that group of notes, the harmony gives us E flat augmented. From here, we're going to scooch our E flat, also 1/2 step, 1 fret, down to D. Here we get B, G, D, B, G, D. Sort of a first inversion G chord. Right? Then our G is going to move a whole step, that's 2 frets, down to F. We're now still on A, D, and B strings. And again, we're 14, 15, 15. This gives us our B diminished. Now if we take this, again, leave the top 2 notes and move our B down to A. That might be a stretch for some folks. That's okay. That's okay, you know, if you want to play it 1 note at a time. But that gives us a D minor. Take our top note, D, and I'll highlight it here. D moving a whole step down to C. Again, we get another first inversion major triad, F. And then move our F 2 frets, 1 whole step down to E flat. We get our A diminished chord. That's the first line. We're a third of the way done. Congratulations if you've made it this far. Notice actually we're moving down, but we've only moved down, I'm at fret 12, 13, 13. So I only started about like 3 frets higher. So now cycling back over to C minor, all we need to do is move our A down to G. That's a whole step down. 2 frets. Alright, so I'm now at 10, 13, 13. Again, still on A, D, and B strings. Now Now again, it's going to be the same letters moving. So C moves down to B. C just happens to now be on top. And that gives us E flat augmented. Then E flat moves down to D. We've got a G major chord. G's going to move down a whole step to F. And that's a big stretch there, right? And especially if you play it with 3 fingers, you can do that. It's not horrible for you. I have to move a little bit to get into the right position to do it. I usually just mute the 3rd string or hybrid pick and just skip the 3rd string and bar that with my finger. There's a G in the middle there anyway, so it does. If I accidentally hit that note, it just gives me a cool G7 chord. But without the G in there, like we want, it's actually a B diminished. Then B moves down to A. This time, again, it's just on top. It's the same chords as before. So now we have D minor. And then D moves down to C. Leave the other 2 the same. We should be at 8, 10, 10 at this point. Then from here, F on the bottom moves down to E flat. And I get my A diminished here. Then we're cycling on to the 3rd line. So we're 2/3 done. Congratulations again if you've made it this far. So here, again, A moving down to G, getting onto the last line, giving us our C minor. So we should be 6, 10, 8 for this one. Now again, if you've seen like some of these spread voicing sounds before, you've seen this one, which is easier to play. I always recommend playing that if you're looking for that sound. But maybe I'm trying to work my way up the fretboard, and in that case, this is kind of nice to play that. Right, if I'm trying to work my way into this upper territory, it's nice to sort of, instead of that, which kind of anchors me down towards the 5th fret, this kind of anchors me towards more my pinky. And I have more of a tendency to want to move my hand upward in this shape. So there's always little things like that that you want to consider as you're making voicing choices in your music playing. But as we're doing here, I like to, again, just like discover this different voicing and then see where that takes my music, because again, it gives my hand a different tendency to do a different thing, even though it's not the most comfortable way to approach it in the beginning. You gotta push yourself a little bit. Again, be aware you don't want to hurt yourself, but a small amount of discomfort and then put it down is actually okay. Right? Okay, so we're here. Same pitches moving in the same places. C down to B. Right? Then, here I'm on E flat, augmented, moving to G. Oof, uncomfortable, right? But functional. From there, our G on top moves down to F. And that gives us our B diminished. And then a nice easy chord B in the middle moves down to A. That gives us D minor. D, A, F. Then we're going to get another uncomfortable one. F major. I'm stretching 3, 7, 6. Again, if you need to break that up into single notes, that's much easier to play, and you get the same knowledge from doing it. But I'm pushing myself today. Again, don't try this at home if you're not ready, you know? So there's our F, and then our F on top moves down 2 frets to E flat. Everything else stays the same. Another big stretch for me, A diminished. Then that resolves back home to our root 5th third, octave down, 12 frets from where we started, C minor. Hopefully this has been a helpful guide for you to work through some of this material, and hopefully it has helped you gain access to some of this material that is so ridiculously hard to find today. Thank you again so much for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and play my way out, but have a fantastic Theory Thursday, and I'll see you in the next one.